states into play that nobody else is going to be able to put into play. I mean, nobody. And we're getting great polls with African Americans because they know we're going to bring back jobs. We're getting, in my opinion, I'll tell you what, nobody has greater respect for women than Donald Trump. Nobody. Nobody. And, you know, I watched the press do a number on me with women, and a lot of the women that we see, and look at all the women here today, half are women. Thank you. And one of them asked, why? Why do you think you're going to do us? I said, because we are going to do great for women, but we're also going to do great, and nobody's going to do better in protecting our country, protecting our borders, and making this a safe place to be. That's for men and women. Men and women. So, and actually on Monday, my wife is coming up. She's going to campaign. She's never done this before. She's coming, so we're starting in Wisconsin. So that'll be exciting. Melania is coming up, and Ivanka just had a baby. She just had a beautiful baby. And Ivanka is going to start another week or so. She's going to start campaigning. She's just all set. In fact, last time she had a baby, she was in the office the following day. This time, I think she'll be in the office pretty within a couple of days. But she's very strong and very good, and she had a beautiful baby, so we're very happy. She's going to start campaigning too, so we're really happy about that. So one of the things I wanted to talk, because it's really being unfairly discussed, I spoke with CNN. I had a big town hall with Anderson Cooper, which was very fair, I must tell you. He's tough but smart and good. I thought his questions were good. Tremendous rating. He got a tremendous rating. That was a town hall last week. You saw the ratings were fantastic. When I went like this, you had Cruz, you had Kasich, and you had Trump. All three of us, 1 hour each. The ratings were, you understand what that means, right? I was in the middle. And in fact, I beat every other show on cable by a lot, by millions of votes. We beat everybody. It was very good. In fact, CNN called me immediately following, although they don't treat me good. CNN does not treat me good, by the way, but they treat me so badly. But they immediately called, we'd like to do another one. I said, I just did one. No, we don't. And then they sent out a release. You all saw the release, that it's one of the highest rated shows they've had in a long time, and beat everybody on cable. And I think beat everybody, period, regardless on cable. So it was a great success. And it was a fair interview. I like Anderson Cooper. I think he's very tough, but very fair. And he talked about NATO. Now, in all fairness, I've been a businessman. So things like NATO, it's not like, you know, when I'm building a building in Manhattan, or when I'm signing a lease for the largest bank in the world, which happens to be from China, or when I'm doing whatever I do, or when I'm making deals. We're doing 114 deals all over the world right now. Now, my children are doing it, my executives are doing it. Nobody talks about it, but we have deals all over the world going up, and fantastic, and getting ready to sign deals that are going to be fantastic. But I will tell you, nobody asked me about NATO. Nobody asked me about NAFTA. Nobody asked me about anything. They talk about deals. That's what they do. Well, my whole life has been doing this. And I've been running for office. I've been a politician since June 16th, if you think about it. But I have good common sense, and I have good business sense. I guess I have great business sense. Look, I built a company. I built a company in a relatively short period of time that's worth more than $10 billion. And it's not the computer stuff and the internet stuff. You know, you open it and you open a love site and it's worth $700 million. It's day one and these kids never saw anything like it. And they come to your office to say hello to you and they're wearing an undershirt. You know, they come up to meet me. A lot of the guys from Silicon, and they're wearing undershirts. I could tell you a story. Some of the biggest in the world, they'll come in roller skates and they'll be wearing like a T-shirt. And the guard actually, okay, who's one of the richest in the world, comes into Trump Tower on roller skates, right? Says, hey, I want to see Donald Trump. They throw him out of the building. And it was one of the founders of I don't want to embarrass him, and he wouldn't be embarrassed, actually. I don't think he cares. He thinks it's funny, but he's a friend. He's a good guy. But they threw him out of the building. He's calling from outside. They won't let me into the building because the way he's dressed. He's got jeans and an undershirt on. So it's one of those things. And he's worth billions, many, many billions of dollars. But I built a company with real estate and with other things that's worth more than $10 billion. Great, great company. And, you know, when you can do that, that's a tribute. That's what we need. So here's a story. They asked me, I was actually on Wolf Blitzer, good guy, And he asked me tell me about NATO. I'm saying, well, that's a question that's never been asked to me before, but I'll tell you about NATO. It's obsolete, and we're paying too much money. Okay, that's my instincts, all right? That's just my instinct. And I got hammered. How could you ever talk? In fact, Obama, you probably saw that. Obama yesterday hammered me on my stance on Japan. I want to talk to you a little bit about, because what I'm here to do, what I'm really going to be great at is trade. What I'm really going to be great at is the borders and security and military. And when they do the polls, which has a big segment. And by the way, we're going to get great health care because we're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to bring, no, we're getting rid of it. It's a disaster. No, I mean, we're going to do these things. Those are like the easy things. All right, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to repeal it, replace it with something so good, so much less expensive. Your premiums are going up 45, 55%. It's ridiculous. And by the way, whether you say you're going to get rid of it, no, it's going to get rid of it anyway, because in the year 17, it explodes. Unless the Republicans do again, where they give more budget money to keep it going, which should not have happened with this omnibus budget. But we're going to get rid of Common Core. We're going to bring education locally. We're going to protect our Second Amendment, which is under siege. We're going to fight very hard for Christianity. You know, Christianity is being chipped at. We're being chipped away. And, you know, you've seen, I've won most of the evangelical vote. When I went to South Carolina, everybody said, Sarah, that was Cruz is going to win it. He's going to win evangelical. I think they said 68% evangelical. I won in a landslide, and I won the evangelical vote because they get it. I've had great support. You know, so many. Jerry Falwell Jr. has been incredible. And Pastor Jeffress, I watched him on television this morning. He actually thought my answer on abortion was a very good answer, which is a very interesting thing. But, you know, again, that's a lot of different views and a lot of different, you could debate that subject for years to come. You could debate it for years to come. But I will tell you this, you had all of these people, and I'm winning one after one. So Wolf Blitzer asks me about NATO. And I said, look, and now think of this not only from a security standpoint, folks. Our country is a third world nation. Our infrastructure is dead. It's gone. Our bridges are 55% ready to fall down. I mean, they're really unsafe. Our roadways are bad. Everything's bad. And you may see it a little bit less in this part of the country, but you see it too, because I look at your numbers and they're not good at all. And you're right in the middle of the pack. You're not doing anything outstanding, believe me. But I look at this, no, it's true. I mean, Wisconsin's not doing well. Is it doing okay? It's doing okay. But by the way, take a look at your borrowings. I think it's $48 billion. So they're borrowing too much money, and too many bad things are happening. The bottom line is your jobs are leaving. You can't be successful, and that's for the country too. You can't be successful unless the jobs come. So they're talking about NATO. And I said, well, here's the way I look at it. And I almost would know this instinctively, but I actually had some numbers, but I would almost know this instinctively. Because every country beats us. We don't win anymore. Every single country beats us. Whether it's China in trade, they beat us up. We can't even beat ISIS. We can't beat ISIS. We have military. We can't beat ISIS. And by the way, our military has been totally depleted, and we're going to build it up again. We're going to make it the strongest military in the world, and nobody's going to mess with us anymore. Nobody. And we're going to take care of our vets who have been totally mistreated. We're going to take care of our vets, okay? Believe me, I'm going to do it. And, you know, vets come up to me. I have almost uniform support with the vets. And they come up to me. They say, you know, Mr. Trump, oh, that's my vet. That's my favorite vet. But you know what? The vets come up to me. They come up to me and they say all the time, they say, you know, Mr. Trump, you're the only one. I have such tremendous support from the vets. That's one of the reasons I did so well in South Carolina at different places, and New Hampshire, where I won. We have a huge vet population. But they come up to me all the time and they say, you know, of all these people, we started off with 17. Now we're down to 2 leftovers, okay? 2 leftovers. That's all I have left. 2. We have 2 people left. Nobody got that joke, but that's okay. But you know what? They started off at 17, and nobody talked about it. And they'd come to me when there were 10 left, when there were 8 left, when there were 2 left. They came to me 2 days ago, and they said, you're the only one that mentions the vets in your speech. And every time I mention the military, I talk about the vets, because the vets are a very important part of the military. Our military has to know that when they're finished defending our country, that they're going to be taken proper care of. They are taken... The military is taking care of worse than if you're an illegal immigrant. I mean, you see what's going on where they're being, the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, they come in here illegally. You have such crime. It's such a crime wave. Nobody understands. When I announced for president on June 16th, and I mentioned this, we will build the wall, don't worry, and Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Mexico will pay for the wall. But when I mentioned on June 16th, I talked about illegal immigration, the world went crazy. It was like the worst thing. Then 2 weeks later, everyone's saying, you're right. Then the other day, I heard Cruz say, and we will build a wall. I said, where did that come from? No, he said, we will build a wall. I said, I didn't believe that. I said, play it back. That's the nice thing about TiVo. Play it back. I don't believe it. We're going to really take care of it, okay? And we're going to build a real wall. And remember this, you're all here. Just remember this. Mexico's paying for the wall. Mexico could stop a lot of the problems we have just by one phone call. One phone call. The leaders could stop it almost immediately. But they love it. Everything comes here. You try and become a citizen of Mexico. You go to Mexico, you're there. Remember Sergeant Tamborisi, what happened there? They wouldn't release him. And I gave him a lot of money. I helped him because when he came out, he was a troubled young guy, and perhaps troubled when he went there. He should have never been there. And he certainly shouldn't have been there for the long periods that he was there. Greta worked very hard on him and others, but on making sure that he got out. But we had a president. I don't think he ever made a phone call. It's to this day. I don't think he ever made a phone call. It just shows you we have tremendous trade deficits with Mexico, $58 billion or so. Think of it, $58 billion. When you have a $58 billion trade deficit, and you're going to yearly, and you're going to build a $10 billion wall. It's real easy, right? You don't have to be the greatest business student in the world. So you just remember this, and you can hold me to it the next time around, okay? Mexico, we're going to build a wall. It's going to be a great wall. It's going to be a real wall. It's going to stop drugs from pouring into our country. Going to stop people from coming into our country other than legally, because we want them to come in legally. But you watch, and just so I say, Mexico will pay for it. Because when you have a trade deficit like that, that means they're making a fortune on the United States. You have companies like Ford, like Nabisco, like Carrier Air Conditioner moving into Mexico. Well, that's the way you have to think of it. In Japan, they sell very few American products. And remember, made in the USA, the old sticker we used to proudly have, would have it on everything we had, made in the USA or made in America, but made in the USA. In Japan, they were very proud of their products. They don't want products made in the USA. So we take their cars by the millions, but we send them very little. You call it an imbalance. They're up here, we're down here. We send them very, very little, and they take our product. We have to change it. We have to balance it out, folks. We have to balance it out. But with NATO, I have to tell you, so with NATO, I said obsolete, I said expensive. Then we started getting into countries with, actually Wolf Blitzer, and also with Anderson Cooper. And we started getting into it. And we talked about nuclear, because nuclear to me is the single biggest problem in the world today, okay? President Obama thinks it's global warming. If you can believe this, he actually said global warming is our single biggest problem. And I agree with him. I say global warming, but of the nuclear variety. That is our, because you want global warming, that's global warming, okay? That's instantaneous global warming. Nuclear is our single biggest problem, the power of those weapons. And you already have countries that